What's the easiest way to explain to people that if they have side effects from the vaccine, it doesn't mean that it was a bad idea to get the vaccine?
Well, I thought Dr. Nielsen, and we haven't told you, without going into it, he's just as phenomenal as his physicist brother. His father is a renowned professor. Was it at Princeton or back east?
Yeah, he worked in the government.
Yeah, and he actually put together in part the college admission test. But the reality is that Dr. Nielsen has a phenomenal educational background. We found him, and we're not paying him any astounding amount of money. We're really not paying the poor guy. We'll give you a couple of coupons to McDonald's. But so that this isn't some sort of a bot guy. He's the guy that's just, we know he handles a lot of problems for us. We asked him to look at this, and he said, yes, I can tell you. Now, I think that I explained this before. It's, your side effects that are worse than a typical reaction, but the reality is they last for 48 hours, sometimes a little longer. That's much easier than having a loved one die from COVID. I'm going to tell you two quick stories. We had a guy that, and then I'm going to ask Jeanette Ellison to give us a little story of a man that we know very well down in Phoenix at our community, Olive Grove down there. I have two people that I tend to go to church with, and one had a brother who was down in Provo, Utah, and was a renowned doctor, and he was 59. And he and his father lived together. They got COVID together, and his father was 96 and died, and he just died just a little bit ago. And there was the thought that he actually had the opportunity of getting the vaccine a little earlier, and that's been a lot of angst for the family because of that. In addition, I have a dear friend he's about 38, and his brother is 40 down in California. And they were just informed that his brother had to be put on the ventilator, and within 20 some hours he had passed away. And so my friend's heading down to California to bury his brother. These are direct things. I've just had some phenomenal friends of mine earlier on that succumbed to this horrible, horrible scourge. We can stop it. And the only way we can stop it is to get a large number of people who have the antibodies. There's a poignant story that Jeanette Ellison has, who is the executive director at our community in Phoenix called Olive Grove. Jeanette, do you want to talk about that? Are you with us? I'm presuming. Well, I guess I didn't pay her enough, right? So Joe, can you see if you can get her on, and we'll try to go. I think it's a story that's worth hearing. Great. So can you give a list of suggestions for managing side effects to the vaccine? Go ahead.
I think I'll pass this over to the actual doctor. The one thing I will say is it's like Everett said, it's pretty rare to have a side effect, and even rarer is a severe allergic reaction or side effect. So go ahead.
I'll just make a couple of comments, if I could, about the side effects of the vaccine. There was a lot of talk early on about those that developed the illness and have no symptoms. It turns out that probably half of the people who were initially thought to have no symptoms were pre-symptomatic, meaning they did eventually go on to develop some symptoms. And so the percentage of people who are asymptomatic is probably in the range of about 30% of those that are infected, instead of the original report of 80%. So that has been borne out in numerous studies. The side effects of the vaccine, there's about 50 to 80% chance that you're going to have a local side effect, which means you're going to have a sore arm, you're going to have a sore muscle, you're going to have some redness, a little bit of swelling. It may last as long as a day. My arm was sore, was a day later, it was not sore anymore. My wife didn't have any symptoms at all when she had the vaccine. You probably have a 50 to 80% chance of having a systemic side effect, which means a headache, a fever, tiredness, fatigue, something along those lines, which also typically lasts 24, 36 hours at the most. So that comparing that to a mild case of the flu or something where you don't feel good for a day, then you're fine. Typically, you treat it as if you had a mild viral infection. Well, it turns out you do not have a viral infection. What is happening is the vaccine is starting your immune system to work, and that's where the side effects are coming up from, these systemic side effects. Now, it is possible to have a more significant reaction from one of the constituents of the vaccine. They have a little sugar in there, they have a little bit of lipids in there, there's some emollients, things that they have to do in order to make sure that what they're giving you gets into your body in the right spot. And there are people who react to those components. Those that have had the anaphylactic or a major allergic reaction, they're not reacting to the messenger RNA. They're reacting to one of the constituents in the vaccine. Studies have shown that a large segment of those who have had a significant allergic reaction have had allergic reactions to other vaccines as well. So it's the components. None of those who have had those serious allergic reactions have died. I've seen no reports of death from that. How frequently does it happen? A major allergic reaction, about 1 in 90,000 for the one vaccine, the Pfizer, a little bit less for the Moderna vaccine. So a very rare event, treated, doesn't result in death or long-term consequences. So managing it, you just stay down, stay home, take some Tylenol, some ibuprofen, rest, it's gone in a day.
Some of us, that's a hard thing to say, stay down, stay home, since we're taking care of other people. So do try that Tylenol and ibuprofen regimen and flush your system with fluids. And that you should be able to get back on your feet pretty quickly. It doesn't last long. A few of us have had those side effects, and it really is, it can kick you for a minute, but then try to get back up on your feet so that we can get back to helping our residents.
Well, let me just say something. So both Joe, who's with us, our director of operations, and Megan had COVID, and they had more severe reactions than others did. And it could well be that there is some interaction there. So there's two things that were brought up. And number one, I'm just reiterating what Dr. Nielsen said. No deaths from even severe reactions. And severe reactions were 1/10,000th of 1%, 1 out of 90,000. So just think about that for a little bit, that even severe reactions, and there have been people, but that's 1 out of 90,000 that have to go to the hospital, and then they take care of it while they're there. There was never any life-threatening concept going on.